Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast. You idiots, I'm just laughing at these clowns just trying to make faces at me in the background. On this episode of the ET Stand podcast, we are going to work out why, stop it, you idiots. We're going to try and work out what a dynasty is and if the Cronulla Sharks can ever build one of their own. We're just not content with one premier. These idiots in the background, I'm going to stop them from pulling faces at me. Let's just bring them in. That is Boldo's Tears. Chris Kelly, who would you move?
Where do we start? I'm glad Boldo didn't grow up in Egypt times because that's a terrible looking pyramid. It would have fallen over and collapsed by now. And given that he just Googled the squad and put Matt Ikevalu in the bottom and he hasn't been there since half of last year, our pyramid would have fallen over.
He's still on the page.
The pyramid would have fallen over. You would have been missing a foundation piece and it's fallen over.
Maloney is intercept. Away goes James Maloney. They're kicking him home, the Sharks fans. Maloney is there. Healy. It's Healy and gone on his departure day. Mitch Healy gets a try. The crowd have gone absolutely bereft.
In amongst all of that, Lats had an awesome story about how awesome this Finau guy was, and then Boldo concludes it with like, yeah, Finucane, how good is he? And everyone's like,
I don't even know who Finau is. I just assumed that Finau was the same guy as Finucane. Is that a different person? I didn't know that. Who the hell's Finau?
Wow. This is how flawed the tears are. He doesn't even know half the team.
Boldo.
This is where the tears bit comes into it.
I'm listening to the car going, did my stream just like skip 30 seconds or something? Like, no, it was just Boldo just playing along. But anyway.
Peachy, great ball to Campbell. He's away. Campbell to the 30-metre line. Now, Colin Best heading to the corner. Gets it back on the inside. Graham, they're over. Nick Graham has scored. 4 minutes into the game.
And it's away. Here they are. Pryor. Can he get it there? Yes, he can. Matt Pryor, an unlikely first try scorer for the Sharks.
Interesting enough that the North Bears are getting that desperate. They're talking about having a Pacific Bears team so they can sort of engulf those Pacific nations and sort of get that ball rolling where they think they can sort of, take on the Cook Islands and the Samoans and the Tongas and sort of make it their team. So PNG's to go for me.
I'm pretty convinced after that. All right, Franco, what do you got?
Mate, can I rebuttal that, or am I giving it a different answer?
Go for it. Enough arguments on this podcast. Come on,
you're going to throw out cans, and they're going to play out of cans.
Ever. That is the dumbest idea ever.
Townsend now calling the shots with Johnson off. They will go. Gallen, field goal. Paul Gallen, field goal. That is amazing. That is ridiculous. Away. It's back to Smith. Smith gets it away to Cronk. Cronk's got Korobetti with it. Have they got a chance here? Korobetti's put down. The siren sounds. Cronulla have won it. 14 to 12. You can turn the light out now.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence. elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the E.T. Stand Podcast.
Oh, I've got it on the wrong layout and format. There we go. Lats is here. If you were wondering what was going on at that kickoff, Lats has literally come into the ET Stand Podcast, into the green room, 30 seconds before we were due to start. And look, you just got in time for the singing of the song. To introduce the show today, I'm just going to say, never has being wrong felt so right. That's right. Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks Fans Podcast, where we let our talking do the football. It's the only podcast that has a host that's so dumb that he did not pick the Sharks to beat Melbourne and copped an absolute spray from his fellow hosts on the text message as I watched on the train on the way to Nottingham. Look, do hit the like and subscribe button. Get involved in the show. It's a lot of fun when we have a whole bunch of comments come through from everyone. On this episode, we had to bench Mr. Roosters fan himself, because we just weren't sure if he's still a Sharks fan. So we benched Kevs Kelly because of his bias and affinity with the Roosters. So sin binned until segment 4. This next episode could be a long one if you haven't seen the debrief yet on the Storm match. Franco and the boys did a good job on that one. So go check that out. And we've also just put out a classic Cronulla Chronicle looking at a past Roosters match. That one's also live on YouTube and Spotify. On this episode, could be a long one. Lats is actually back to do a proper social roundup. So rather than my rubbish and the extra stuff that we had last week, we look at past seasons and moments where the Sharks have been outright season leaders on the top of the competition table, with Williams taking us through that. We're going to compare the boom rookie performance of Daniel Atkinson to what have been seen from past young Sharks. Kelly, we're then letting him into the show, and he's going to take over and talk us through the Roosters preview around the league and also get fired up about Origin. And I think at the end of the show might be a pile-on fest on me, which I'm used to. But first up, let's just acknowledge that I didn't tip the Sharks. We'll stop singing the song now because we've got plenty of times to do that later in the season. Let's just confirming this up here. There is the ET Stand tipping comp scores. So I am no longer outright leader and have been caught up by everyone in the comp. What can I say? However, if we'd have all just picked the Sharks for every match, we'd all be winning. So the default pick of just tipping out the Sharks. Anyway, Williams, give us the final take on the Storm match.
The final say. So clearly you were wrong. The thing we're going to call you out on is how much I suppose you were gloating. Maybe it was just a misreading over text all the way from that train you're on to Nottingham Shrub or whatever it was called, wherever you're off to. But it's like, oh, well, I've got my tip right, and that's a shame. But
I never said that. I don't want
to. I'm still winning. It's all good. It was all very like, well, Kelly, right. So I agree with you. I was like, like every other Sharks fan, Nico's out. They've got to be null and void. How do we win from here? I'm going to give myself a boost here after not many drinks, maybe one beer. I was like, ooh, actually, if we hold the ball, like I mentioned how composed we were against the Dragons, despite the conditions, despite everything going against us, like, okay, we're in Melbourne. If we play to our potential, despite Atkinson's a great unknown, right? But if we hold the ball and hold our line and we keep it gritty, we'll see what happens. And we played through the middle and we know what happened there. But asterisk is clearly the word of the week, and I should have opened.
Oh, that's just rubbish.
Should have had
asterisk.
Should have had asterisks because Baldo had caveats all over his tip. So anyway, so asterisk clearly. No, instant bait.
Yvonne Sampson had premeditated using that asterisk word, and I don't think she didn't really use it in the right context.
I don't think
it just shows an ongoing bias against the Sharks.
Well, I'm going to talk about that just for a second. So my hot take of the week is, and I got caught up in it, I was giving Dan Ganane so much heat on the weekend, and then watching the replay and seeing him. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm a massive fan of his call in the 2016 Grand Final. Go and listen to it. It's on the Triple M website. Listen to his call when we win. That is magic. That's him boosting. But when he's riding another team and he's kind of not going up an octave when it's like, oh, Daniel Atkinson kicked it, or he hits it, and it's like, he's got it. And he barely goes, oh, the Sharks take the lead. It's like,
Dan, it looks like you've got the Storm in your multi and you're about to tear up your ticket. Like, come on, dude, give us a break. We know the script was all about the Storm being without Pappy, without Hughes. You hadn't changed your script that Hines was out. So therefore, in your mind, Sharks were favourite. No, we know that. Anyway, what I'm saying is we can't control the narrative. All we can control is our performance. And I think Vonnie wasn't meaning to say asterisks. McInnes threw it back in the face anyway and said no asterisks here, but all we can do is keep doing it, playing our game, running our race, because you look back in 2022, apparently we couldn't beat top four sides then when we beat Souths, who were, I think, on the edge of the top four at home. We beat Melbourne, okay, asterisks, no Munster, we had no Hines, we smashed them, that was questionable. We took it to Penrith, and if we hold the ball, I reckon we win in Penrith that year. So the side's got that ability to, but obviously we know how 2022 finished. I know you were talking today, Baldo, that Fitzgibbon's the same as John Morris until he wins a finals game. Agreed. But the way the brand
have to win a finals game.
The brand of football this team is playing, and I don't want to go off early. We know what the Dragons are like. It's only mid-May, but you don't want to be going off early May premiers, but this is the foundation. We talk about 2016 and the defence shown there, the composure. This is the closest we've been since then. A lot could happen between now and then, but yeah, bring on the asterisks. Asterisks all the way through the grand final.
Bring on the asterisks. Speaking of asterisks, our good friend SJD's come through. Well, let's hope this is an episode that's good without an asterisk. Yes, SJD, let's hope it's good without an asterisk. Well, when the Sharks are winning, I guess we do have an asterisk. It's hard for us not to have a bad show when the Sharks are doing the job for us. Yes, Franco?
I just want to say, and I'm sure some of you have been paying attention as well, it's very interesting how many commentators and people in the press are coming out and discussing the game and mentioning things like how well Brayley performed in the halves and how versatile McInnes is slotting in at hooker. It's like, did you
watch the game?
Did you watch the game? And I will mention that Yvonne Sampson was one of them who her first thing after that was saying how tough it was for McInnes to go in a hooker and Brayley in the halves. That was a good performance. And she still threw out the asterisks. Didn't watch the game or didn't understand what she was watching. I don't know, one of the two.
Todd Payton got named at halfback for the Tigers back in the day when someone went injured. And clearly he didn't play halfback, but like Mitch Orbison was named in the 7 jersey for a grand final. Starting lineups mean nothing.
Yep. It's crazy.
Well, that's all. I don't think we want to get into a war with Yvonne Sampson.
Definitely not.
But anyway, I don't think we want to talk about me and Aaron Molan. So that's a joke. We will say good day to our good friend. Look, Harley, ever since you have been watching our show, the Sharks have basically not lost. So you are arguably the greatest good luck charm of all time. So good day to you, Harley.
The omen.
And anyone we love Harley. He's just a legend, isn't he? But anyway, what you're going to say, Lats, before we get into let's go across to the Lats social segment. Let's just hit here and I'll share screen.
Mate, just on last week, great show, by the way, fellas. Thanks for the stitch up with Casey's birthday photos. Appreciate that. And I just want to put out an apology to Jason Stevens. I haven't urinated on your fence, mate, for weeks. And just in response to the tiers, mate, I thought you could have had Kafusi and Tapua up a little higher. I thought maybe you had them down there on that Seinfeld tier. I thought you could have created a little Sex and the City tier or something a little bit higher. And after his performance on Saturday, mate, I think Atkinson just sold his place in Williamsburg and has purchased a penthouse in Manhattan.
I think he might be purchasing one of those $5.8 million bloody penthouses on top of that stupid narrow tall building. I think you're right, Lats. Yeah, it's all fair. Good point. Well, yeah, it's interesting. Would Atkinson be top of the tiers now? Oh, goodness. We'll find out in a couple of weeks, I guess. How good are the Sharks? This is just the bad. All right, let's get on. This podcast, I swear, is just so much fun to do, even though only 15 people watch it. It's mostly my mates. It's just absolutely – no, we have more than 15 people watch. It's just so much fun. So, all right, let's get into it. The week that was in socials, there's a bit happening, lads?
Yes, fair bit happening, mate. It's all about young Daniel Atkinson across the socials at the moment, though, after that commanding performance in Melbourne on Saturday night. Fans were ecstatic with his composure, especially with that field goal, the sideline conversion and the placement of his kicks and his bombs, etc. But majority of the Sharks fans even wanting him to be picked to start ahead of Trindle when both are available for selection. That was pretty unanimous. Even Nico, when asked in an interview at the conclusion of the game on Saturday, stated that it is Atkinson's spot to lose now. I don't know if you guys caught that at post-game. Just with the performance.
It was Ronnie that said that.
Nico actually spoke to it as well. Just briefly touched on it, but he said it's his spot to lose.
I'd stick with Atkinson.
Yeah, I think so.
Williams?
Might get a chance to see Trindle this week. We'll see when we get to the team lists and Nico's calf or hamstring. I'm not sure which one it is. Status. Yeah, I think we'll see a bit of the two of them in the halves.
Yeah, Chris Kelly wants us to dump Nico and just play Atkinson and Trindle because he wants the Roosters to win.
Did he want to put in a bid for Sam Walker?
I think Chris Kelly's head's about to shake off.
He wants Adrian Lamb to come back.
Shaking his head in the green room. He's not impressed.
All right, on to the next.
Alrighty, Melbourne fans were left absolutely seething across the socials after Harry Grant's controversial sin binning for making contact with Atco's leg. We spoke about it in the debrief. It was soft. We'd be filthy if it happened to us. However, as Captain Cam stated in the post-match presser, we'll take it. Majority of those calls, they go against you, and when they fall in your lap, you go with it because it's a while before they come around again. And, mate, speaking of press conferences, not sure if you guys caught the Melbourne one, but if I had a shot for every time Craig Bellamy said at the end of the day, I'd be up in Ward 4 of Sutherland Hospital getting my stomach pumped. Actually, I think that might be the maternity ward, but...
the maternity ward.
I hope not, Bill. There could be a new drinking game opportunity there because it seems to be a little term that he goes to quite regularly, so... I think I counted about 11 times.
You've got to protect the kickers, lads. You've got to protect the kickers. I actually didn't 100%. Mind that sin bin. You can't be going, play your heart out, Tony Kane.
It has to be him. It has to be consistent.
He was found not guilty at the judiciary tonight, so play on.
Yeah, but also sometimes I feel they also take into account the on-field punishment.
They contest the fine. If he's found not guilty, that's not guilty of the offence. They claimed he was clearing. He was running at the kicker, and then he was running an angle away. And you're right, he wasn't looking. But I don't know. I've just got that sneaky suspicion. Melbourne, they've been up to those tactics for years. Look, if Mitch Moses was touched, I'm pretty sure he'd still be on the ground, and he'd probably be out for 10 weeks, and the entire comp would be crying, right? So you have to look at it. Atkinson's a new guy. Of course, Storm are going to be targeting the one kicking option we have. Your sin bin was harsh, agreed, but definitely penalty.
Harry Grant's smart enough to know where to look to make it seem as though he had no intent. I definitely agree with that.
The other night, like a disruptor. Come on. It's similar. It was at the Magic round a few years ago when Trindle gave up an 8-point try when the guy was on the ground and he was trying to hit the ball to stop the try, and unfortunately glanced hit the player's head. And I think maybe it was an 8-point try and the sin bin. And you could argue, I think arguing then that he wasn't looking there too. So, look, yeah, kind of look the wrong way. You can get away with anything, really, unless the referee deems otherwise.
Tomo's come through with a comment. Looking handsome as ever, Tomo. Penalty, not 10 in the bin. Yeah, but surely that was some sweet justice for you, Tomo. And then I agree with this SJD point here, who's come through in the comments saying the worst part of Grant's sin bin is it took a focus away from our win. It did a little bit, but... not too much there. All right, let's keep hitting through.
Alrighty, boys. This is a bit of an uncharted water-like scenario for us. We have finally and very deservedly started to be taken seriously and promoted in the media and are making headlines for all the right reasons. Bloke in a bar game is massive.
ET Stand podcast or the Cronulla Sharks?
A bit of both, mate. I've seen plenty on Fox about the ET Stand podcast, or I've seen plenty of shots of the ET Stand anyway. But bloke in a bar gave us massive raps after the Melbourne match, and especially for McInnes and Brails, and they put them right up there and that have to be picked for Origin. They're right up there in contention. So they alluded to just Brayley's fitness and the fact that he just bangs out 80 minutes, no trouble at all. He's barely even gassed come the 80 minutes. He does a heap of work in attack and in defence. So they definitely wouldn't look out of place there. We also got big raps on 360 this week, and especially from Cooper Cronk, who was very impressed with our efforts of late, and especially for the setup and the way an inexperienced first grade half in Atkinson had the composure to set and nail that field goal, and for his performance as a whole in Nico's absence. And we're starting to finally get that recognition we deserve in the media. Is it a good thing or is it a distraction? I don't know. Time will tell, but it's nice being in there for all the positive things.
Add to your drinking game. whenever Cooper Cronk says, "I dare say," and you'd be toast.
He does do that. He's one of the better commentators, Cooper Cronk.
He is.
He's great.
Well, he's got
great.
He's got that footy mind, that really good footy mind. So he gives you sort of like a halfback's view of the game, and it's quite interesting. But
did NRL 360 cover if the tree was looking when it took out Paul Kent's leg the other day? Surely he was clearing. I'm pretty sure the tree was clearing.
But his watch was okay, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he looked after his
watch.
But
Was
the tree was clear in the ruck. Yeah,
we're moving on from Paul Kent.
We ring barked
him out. What can you tell us about Sione Katoa?
Sione Katoa, all right. There was a lovely little piece dropped during the week in the form of an interview by Sharks NRLW player and Blues NRLW player Tiana Penatana with the great Sione Katoa for the Pacific Sports Show. Great insight into Sione's NRL journey from a young age and what he loves to do to unwind and escape in the form of fishing, crayfishing, diving, etc. He also has an Instagram page dedicated to this called The Tongan Fisherman, where he shares his catches and recipes and whatnot. It's a really nice little piece, so I'd be sure to jump over to ABC Sport and check it out.
Is that some of these here?
That's off his Instagram, yeah.
It's awesome.
I think the one on the right was in Papua New Guinea when they went fishing, and this is just local down at Cronulla. I think this one down here on the left.
Yeah, oh, they're good.
That's it for the socials, boys.
In the background of Cronulla there.
Sorry?
I was saying there's some pretty good mountains in the background of Cronulla.
Oh, was it mountains?
Looked a bit more tropical.
I don't know. Mount Cornell.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Mount
All right. Well,
Carter.
that was the social media roundup with our good man. Scott, it's a great roundup. That segment really does. There's no.
I had to come out hard this week after the disappointing effort last week, and no, just kidding. It's very good last week.
Well, it's not as good. Certainly not as good when we do it. That's sure. All right, cool. On to the next. All right. Well, the Cronulla Sharks. Oh no, we don't want to be that. We want to be that. Cronulla Sharks are now the outright leaders of the NRL competition. We've been leaders many times where we're like not quite the leaders because of for and against. So we've been leaders because of for and against. Now we are outright leaders without for and against. And so we asked our resident historian to take us through the times when other times and other seasons where the Sharks have been outright leaders of the competition. And so we can just compare and see how that ended up. Matthew, take it away.
Well, you'll see a bit of a correlation between these years and events that may have happened at the back end. So I hope I don't put the mock on us because there's one or two outliers there. But the first time we topped the comp was in round 3 of 1973. And then later on that year, at the back end, we topped the comp again in round 21. We obviously end up going through to our first grand final. That was our first final series as well. So I only topped the comp at the end of 2 rounds there. Now, I think it was a 22-round comp, but that was a good start. Wouldn't happen again until 1978. We know what happened at the end of that year, and we led for a fair period. So rounds 2 to 10, and then again between rounds 17 to 20. And then at the end of 22 rounds, we finished, I think it was second or third, and we know what happened after that. 1979, it was a bit of a lost year, that one, but we did win the AMCO Cup, and we led from round 7 to 11. Then 1981, a bit of an outlier, we led from rounds 4 to 6, and then went through a bit of a free fall.
One of the great Cronulla Sharks years, though.
1981.
Yeah. Do you know why? I'm sure Steven's going to say it was the year earlier, but Chris Kelly and I would certainly agree that was the year all the super fans were born, Matthew.
Were born. Well, yeah, backdating your 40th birthday, that does make sense. 88 for those playing at home is the better year. But right on to that one. 1988, funnily enough, someone may have been born then. Whoopsie. Last 2 rounds, rounds 21 and 22 is when we took the lead. Last past the post, or first past the post in this case, to take our very first minor premiership. Then we won't mention the final series. After that, we all know and love 1999.
2000 without the one.
Yeah, that's correct. 2000 minus 1. Thank you to, was that SJD last week?
I think it was SJD last week.
Yes. Apologies to whoever, if it wasn't SJD, apologies to that person. But we didn't lead as much as I would have thought that year. We were in and out of first. We dropped as low as 4th. So rounds 3 to 4, then rounds 8 to 9. Then we had a couple of losses in there. Round 12, rounds 16 to 18, and then the all-important end of the season, rounds 24 to 26, we took the lead and got our second minor premiership 11 years after our first. Then 2006 rings a bell. Franco and I were chatting pre-show. I swore we led the competition. I have gone back and checked the tape. Unfortunately, we got as high as third. I think it was equal first on for and against, similar to 2008. And then, well, a group of supporters knocked over a fence in Newcastle, and then we went to free fall, and we lost 10 in a row. We didn't win until round 1, 2007, after we were basically a lock for the top 8 at a minimum, maybe even top 4, and then it all just went to, terrible. I think it was...
Nullified, personified.
We had a 28-8 lead against Penrith late in the season at home, and we gave that up. Craig Stapleton, playing for the Panthers at the time, before he joined us the following year, did take the lead for the Panthers in that one, and that basically ended what was basically a certain final spot. Put the knife through that one, but we won't mention that anymore. Actually, on Suncorp, and I hope I don't put the mock on us, but that losing streak of 10 in a row was kicked off by a loss to the Baby Broncos right after we were on the back page of or maybe in the front page of the Daily Telegraph or the Sunday Telegraph, talking about how great we were. But anyway, I digress. Rounds 11 to 21.
This is such a good update, Williams. Just keep going.
Rounds 11 to 21 in 2016. We led the competition. Obviously, we were on that crazy run that we all remember. And we finished third in that one. I think I remember Wade Graham. I love Wade, but he was being interviewed post-game after we lost to Melbourne in the prelim final shootout, and he thought we were going to finish second, and we guaranteed to play the Raiders at home until, I think it was Lara Pitt or whoever was interviewing him on the sideline said, well, if the Raiders beat Tigers tomorrow, you're going to Canberra. And he's like, they're going, oh, really? And I was like, oh, that's an embarrassing look. But anyway, we went to Canberra, and the rest is history in a good way. And then 2017, we led the comp in round 10, surprisingly, before that it didn't end too well either, as we've spoken about over the last few weeks. But yeah, so over, we were into our 57th or 57th season, and we haven't led the comp too much, but you're going to add 2024 to that list.
When we do lead, something happens, good or bad.
Yeah, it's memorable.
Outright leaders. I guess that's pretty encouraging. So look, I'm still going to come out and say, Williams, I want us to win a finals match. And I think we're building towards next year. And I think next season we are going to give it a real shot. But look, maybe I'm Mr. Pessimism on this podcast. We've had a couple of other comments come through. Glenn Tomo came through with how good is winning. You're right, Tomo. It's just the best. G-Land's come through in the comments. Up the Sharkies, loving the podcast, guys. Thanks, G-Land. Like your avatar or your little drawing. I don't even know what the damn words are for that thing.
You got it right the first time, mate.
Is it an avatar?
Mate.
Avatar.
It's an avatar. How good is that avatar on G-Land? Oh, that's it. And then, Tomo's come through. MW, loving the research memories. Love breaking fences. I think we need to do a classic chronicle of that fence broken match, actually. Maybe we do that.
It'd be two-part series. It'd be part 1 of 2006 and then part 1 of 2007.
Couldn't we do a top 5 fence breaking countdown?
There's at least maybe we can count walking from Chris Kelly and I's old place at Woolaware and the fences we broke on the way to the game.
Well, you could.
Look,
well, goodness. All right, well, we could have a whole segment on dumb stuff that we've done walking down to the Sharks matches. All right. Well, that was a lovely history segment. Thank you, Williams. As we move into the next segment, Boom Rookie Performances. So following the boom performance of Daniel Atkinson, we thought it would be fitting to look back at some of the other past boom performances that we may not seen coming over the years. Franco is absolutely tearing his hair out thinking about the different boom performances that he could call that he's been saying. Basically, any kid who's not about to make it into first grade, Franco thinks is the next best player. My personal favourite was definitely the emergence of the mini peach, Preston Campbell bursting onto the scene. Now, Franco Williams has called me up on this one, saying, he played all these matches for Gold Coast Chargers. If you count the Gold Coast Chargers as a rugby league team, then maybe you shouldn't be a historian. But I'm going to say it was just so cool when you see Tall Peach is not in the team and then the mini Peach came in. And you're just like, who is this guy? And so he was so electric. How good was the mini Peach? I remember there was one where he came in against North Sydney that was brilliant. And then he came in, he also got those tries against the Storm. And then when Peachy was out at the start of 2001 for all those matches he played, fullback, in covering of the Peach, and then went on to be the Daily M halfback of the year with pretty not that too many games. So that was my favourite of the Boom rookie performances. But I'll hand over to you, Williams, for the intro on that segment. But that's my one.
Okay. On just to clarify, so Boom rookie, obviously a vague term, and we were chatting earlier today about Preston Campbell. Clearly, he's I think quote unquote the out and out greatest Boom rookie ever. And I did pull him up because I've got the stats here if I can find it. Was scrolling on back. He played quite a few matches for the Gold Coast Chargers. So he. Here we are. So 1998 was his first year in first grade, playing for the now defunct Gold Coast Chargers, formerly Seagulls. What were they known as, the Giants at one stage too? Anyway, so
they were Giants as well.
Played 26 matches across 1998, and then joined us in 1999 before he made his, I suppose, debut at the start of 01 and played a lot of matches that one. So he played further 12 matches. So by the time he kind of hit his straps as a halfback, he played 38 first grade games, and he moved from wing/fullback to halfback midway through the 01 season in a pretty dour 16-all draw to the Tigers, and then he lit it up the following week in a loss to the Bulldogs, bizarrely. Or actually, the week before that was a loss to the Bulldogs. He lit it up the following week after that with a 26-all draw to the Dragons at the Sydney Football Stadium, and then the rest is history from there. So basically, he played half a season at halfback. He outscored Andrew Johns. He picked up some points here and there, but he started picking up his threes for his Dally M charge in the back end of that year, and it was, looking back at it, maybe Jared Hayne-like or Tommy Turbo or whatever you want to call it, in his, I suppose, the influence he had on his team in the competition. So yeah, we can call it a rookie, but not quite a rookie. It was his fourth season in first grade. So anyway, my side point on that, obviously Stewie Mills, we've got a big shout out from Tomo there. That was a particularly memorable one when he made his debut against the Roosters in 2011 before he moved between a few different clubs and became a builder eventually, I think.
He should have been better, Stewie Mills. He was great.
Oh, he was cruelled by injury.
He's unlucky, wasn't he?
Didn't he? By the time he made his debut. 2 or 3.
I did. Yeah, so he had three ACLs, you're right, quite a few injuries. He was in and out of first grade. He played a particular game at fullback, and I really felt for him because we expected so much, we hoped so much. And he played fullback against the Tigers on a Friday night at Shark Park, and yeah, he had a shocker. And I think that was probably injury affected too. I think he left to the Broncos shortly after that. Then he ended up playing in the Illawarra comp. But yeah, we wish him all the best because he was lights out, and he was that debut against the Roosters. I remember Phil Gould saying he hasn't seen a debut better than that. So he made a break. He didn't score a try, but he went so close. I think he had a couple of assists. It was electric. But other ones that I'll go back through. So obviously you got the obvious ones like Steve Rogers, E.T., Matt Rogers. They all hit the ground running. E.T. was in and out of the side for the first few years, though, which is often forgotten. He was dropped regularly, including an article by Ash Taylor, the Sharks historian, talking about John O'Docking's career. E.T. and Docking were kind of trading spots between first grade and fullback for periods back in 1983, 84, 85. Another favourite of mine, often forgotten, Adam Ritson. You don't see too many Boom rookie props come out of nowhere. Andrew Fafita was obviously one, but props tend to mature with age as we look in the AFB mould. But Adam Ritson was lights out mid-90s, and then obviously went to the Super League thing happened. He went to the Eels, and then he had the brain
Ritson
scan and the tumour. So,
one of my all-time favourite Shark, actually, Adam Ritson.
Yeah, I know.
He was when he came on, when he used to come on in those 95, 96 teams, made a massive impact.
Yeah, so I'd say he definitely meets the Boom rookie criteria. I'd say it was different he was playing for the Dragons with Jason Stevens too in the prop mould, met that Boom rookie criteria. Michael Sullivan, I know he's a Franco favourite. Haven't looked too much up on his stats, but I distinctly remember him around 03, 04 coming out of nowhere and really being dynamite off the bench before he departed to England, and I think came back and played for the Bulldogs. Obviously 2016, 2015 prior to that, we remember Bird and Holmes. Valentine Holmes tore up the Nines in 2014 and then made his first grade debut late.
Franco was talking about Holmes for years before he turned up.
we were waiting for him to make his entry into first grade. He did. He scored his first try actually against Melbourne at Amy Park. I was there as we were getting pumped, and that basically solidified the wooden spoon. We did lose to Canberra the following week, which made it mathematically impossible for us to avoid the spoon. But he scored a try on debut there, which is always nice to see. Then he didn't get picked for round one the following year, so it was controversial, worked his way back in. While Jack Bird we signed to a fair bit of fanfare for a junior, kind of Carl Faliga style fanfare, I think it was. Not quite as big, but still there was a lot of promise around him when we signed him start of 2015. Then obviously he had a breakout year. I think did he win Rookie of the Year in 2015? If he didn't, he should have. And then following that, we had Bronson Sherry and Kyle Flanagan. We know what's happened to their careers since then. So I'm going to say they're the wannabe self-appointed boom rookies that are not. And a little, asterisk I've got here on my notes, because his namesake and Franco reminded me pre-show. Reece Williams, he was I don't know about boom rookie, but he was a favourite of mine. And unfortunately, his career was cruelled with head knocks and cut short, unfortunately, before head knocks really became well known. So, guys, I know you got your favourites.
Franco, what was your favourite boom rookie?
Oh, I was gonna say there's a couple. You're right. I couldn't keep it to one, but after listening to Williams, I think I'm not feeling too bad. I've got.
I'm covering history. I'm not saying who my favourite was.
It's great. I loved it. Very much. The Stewie Mills thing, yeah. Also, fans were super excited to see what he had after he did that cover tackle, chasing down the Manly player in the preseason match, going down injured at the same time. One of those could have been type players that you're right was really good. To digress just quickly, I know I might get slapped on the wrists for this one, but I was watching that debut match with a Roosters friend, and he complained and lamented that the Sharks seem to bring out these great rookies, and the Roosters just can't seem to bring out any good rookies, and it was just, you idiot. My nominations.
You must have loved that. That's so
exactly.
Good.
My nominations are Scotty Porter. Obviously, it was a bit of a dour year, 2009. We weren't doing too well. And he comes in out of New South Wales Cup and wins the first 4 matches, which was a breath of fresh air, absolute shining light. A bit of a cautionary tale to boom rookie seasons and how, people go that it might not last. But for that moment and that season, he was everything to a lot of Sharks fans. Luke Douglas, a bit of a call out for him. He played all 24 matches in his debut season in the engine room, and subsequent seasons after that, as history will show. But for that year, I think that was 2006, the one of the years that you were talking about. He was a big part of that and was doing really well for a rookie to come in and do what he did was really quite impressive. One of my favourites, current player, Britton Nickera, only missing 1 game in his debut season, going through to being nominated as an NRL Rookie of the Year. He ended up losing to Payne Haas, so I guess we could probably cop that a little bit. So, he came out of the blocks firing. He was really good, and everyone was basically saying he and Sean Johnson were a pair, and they made each other's game so much better, as we've seen since. I think Nickera just makes any halfback next to him look good. He's a great competitor. Incidentally, talking about Rookie of the Year, Dally M Rookie of the Year, since our historian didn't mention it, and because he didn't mention it, I could be wrong here, but I think our only 2 Dally M Rookie of the Year winners is Matt Rogers and Alan Wilson. So
you're most likely right. And I should have caveated at the start and said there's so many. We're seeing heaps of comments coming through. It's an exhaustive list. We're going to go them.
Let's go through the comments. Ames. Look, we always feel sorry for poor Ames because Ames has to sit next to us in the ET stand. So anytime's Ames comments. But yeah, what about big Keefe Galloway? Keefe Galloway was pretty good. And then Ames
Hopperwadi's speed bump.
Yeah, Hopperwadi's
gotta
speed
keep
bump. That
going.
knocked him around confidence-wise. And then
bugger.
she's also come through with Nathan Gardner, who was also very good early. And then I can't believe we haven't mentioned this one, but SJD is completely right. But what about Tommy?
Well, he made one appearance in 2022 against the Roosters when we got, unfortunately, topically pumped at Shark Park, and he was the only member of our side that bent the line that night, and we didn't see him again. I think it was maybe match fitness. We had a pretty, I suppose, deep.
Just saving him up for when it mattered.
Maybe.
So
Harley's
my
come
last,
through with Peachy and Rogers. Yeah, Franco.
last one,
Jeez,
and this
as
is
much as you can out of this one.
I can. My last one, and this one comes in a bit of jest, because his amazing game was not for the Sharks, although it was in his rookie season with the Sharks. Panani Manumalali, playing for Samoa, scoring a hat-trick against Fiji, had one of the Sharks board members tweet Benji Who during our negotiations for trying to sign Benji at the time. Kind of let the cat out of the bag that we weren't going to be getting Benji, and that maybe Panani would be the savior for the Sharks. Turned out not to be, but that was a particularly fun night, that one.
Was that the 2013 World Cup, or was that one of those?
It was,
yeah. I remember we were deep in talks with Benji, and he obviously went to the Dragons, so yeah, how different life would have been. Like, gosh, that was around the era that if we had Benji, do you get James Maloney? Probably not.
Probably not.
All right, let's see if you got round us out before we get the next boom rookie performance in, which is going to be Chris Kelly coming into the ET Stand podcast. Coming in.
Just wanted to make sure Franco was done, mate. You're done, Franco?
I've just got one more, mate. I've just got one more. I'm done.
No,
I'm done.
I've gone for none other than Jack Bird. It was a close one between him and Carfaliga. Debuted round 4 of the 2015 season in a tight loss to the Titans at Ramondis. Following week, he was coming off the bench in that game. Following week, Flano throws him in the halves with partner Jeff Robson. He absolutely tore up the Roosters at Allianz, scored a double himself, went on to score again the next week. Goes on to play 5/8 for the remainder of the season, winning 15 of the 22 games for that year, including the finals. We knew he was something special, and I loved his arrogance. He was such a cocky, sort of fierce competitor. Not to mention, meanwhile, carrying a chronic arthritic condition that required regular expensive injections or just sort of cripple up, apparently, for all I heard. And as SJD mentioned, going on to play, for the Blues, like in his second season, and to win a title, were in the centres where he played all year until we gave him broken to the Broncos. And with an honourable mention to Aaron Raper. I was looking into Aaron Raper.
He was good too, wasn't he? He was good.
Representative.
He was good too. All right, well, look, we've kept him waiting long enough. So it is now time for the Sharks versus Roosters Magic Round. So we'll just tip you out for a little bit, Lat, so you can say goodbye to you, buddy. And before we bring the man in, he's sitting there going, well, why has he kept me waiting so long? And I've been sitting on this for a little while. So it is now time for Roosters aficionado. He's been sitting on the bench. He's been itching to get involved. He's got this new music that's courtesy of some guy called Lokmotov Music. Yevhen Lokmotov has provided us with this clip, and I'm giving him the credit. It is arguably the man who strikes the most joy into not only just Sharks fans, but sports fans all around the world for his continual support of supporting crappy sporting teams, not to be confused with Todd Payton for the Cowboys or any other bald guy with a beard. It is Christopher Kelly who's joined us for the preview of the Roosters Amateur Support.
I'm going to make this my ringtone. This is great.
All right. I'm going to stop that now. Okay.
Well, boys, how are we?
As we cut that, oh, goodness. I've been sitting on that music for months wanting to bring you into something.
That's great.
Rookie performances, Chris, have you got one for us before we...
Yeah, look, I'm with you, Boldo. I was a big Preston fan. I still count it as a rookie because no one knew who he was at Gold Coast. He spent a couple of years in reserve grade. He then came up and played first grade and won the Daily M. Came out of nowhere and won the Daily M Player of the Year. Obviously knocked Andrew Johns out of the way by copying a stray elbow and getting Johnsy suspended. So that was fantastic. You have to throw in, obviously, I know they're well-known names for Sharks fans, but, your Nick Graham, your Nathan Long, your Matt Rogers all came out of that President's Cup team. So we knew of them, but then they were boom rookies when they hit the ground running pretty much straight away into those 96, 97 teams. Obviously, I agree with Latz and Jack Bird, who's probably my pick, but Latz stole it, so I'll let him have it. But let's go with a bit of recency bias. It was a previous coach, I can't remember his name, but he blooded a few young guys, and Sione Katoa and Ronaldo Mulatalo. I don't know who the coach was, don't know where he is now.
Shane Flanagan, how good is he?
Yeah, I think it was Flano. Yeah, it might have been Flano, it might have been Peter Sharp, some other guy who got some other job now. So
Josh Hannah.
Yeah, so
we've had a comment
my guy's
come through
recency
from
bias.
SJD.
It says, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, okay. I just wanted to get this comment out from SJD that Chris Kelly puts the cock in cock-a-doodle-doo. Thought that was quite telling. Oh, how good.
Yeah,
all right.
But
and then Scott Buckley's
recency bias.
You're going Atkinson.
Early days.
Yeah, going Atkinson. After that Melbourne performance, unbelievable.
Scott Buckley's calling that he got all 8. I assume, Scott, you're meaning that you got all 8 in terms of the boom rookie performances. All right. Well, look, it is now time to
tipping.
Oh, could be tipping. Could be tipping.
Yeah, you got all 8.
Of course, it's tipping.
All right, cool. All right. Well, Chris Kelly's going to preview the Sharks versus the Roosters match. Before we get into that, Williams, do you want to give us a historical overview of the Roosters versus the Sharks?
You know I do. Of course I do. Anyway, we played 101 times. They're the first team we ever played, the first team we ever beat. Do you remember the score, David?
10-5.
Oh, no, you're wrong. 11-5.
You got to admit I'm good, Williams.
No, you got it wrong.
You're wrong.
You're waiting for me to get that question on a hard quiz. You got it wrong. Tom Gleason's not going to wait for you.
I got the damn stadium name wrong.
It's all about timing. Anyway, carrying on. We won 11-5 at Sydney Sports Ground over 1 back in 1967. Do you know who scored the try? It's got a topical last name. I think we've chatted about this recently. Offline. Remember, you raised your eyebrows when I said his name. Anyone else? A guy called John Hines. Hines spelled the same way.
John Hines. Legend. John Hines.
He scored the try. Anyway, so we won. We played them 101 times. That's the most of any other team we've played. We have only 35 wins. They have 64. There's been 2 draws. Those draws happened in 1988, 18 all at Caltex. See, I know the name of the stadium there. And in 2012, I remember this one distinctly, 14 all after as an attempt. I think Todd Carney had about 5 field goal attempts from about 40 metres out, missed them all. It was a pretty dour affair, that one. I think Golden Point looked like no one was going to score because each team was defending, holding them out to about 40, 45 out, and the field goals weren't going close. So that was mid-2012 at Toyota. So we obviously beat them in our very first match. Total score overall is the Roosters 2,028 versus Sharks 18-15. So we've got some points differential to make up with. Hopefully get some away tries or goals this week. Most wins in a row, 6 by us, 7 by them. Neutral matches, there's been 4 in total. The Sharks lead 3-1. So hopefully that's a good omen ahead of this weekend. And the neutral games were played at Redfern in 1980, Leichhardt in 1983, Henson Park in 1987, and Parramatta in 1989. So a bit of a mixed bag there. Our record at Suncorp, I'll touch on that because we know we're not a big fan of it, but it hasn't been too bad. The old Suncorp, we played 5 matches. We only won 1. We lost 4. The win was in 1995 against, who do you think it was? It wasn't the Broncos.
South Queensland Crushers.
Nailed it. 20 points to 4. I don't know if Steel Restless was playing, but anyway, the good guys.
Good Steel Restless. And I can't believe SJD's coming in here giving me a bit of shtick about everyone knows that it's 11-5. Come on, SJD. We all know. We all know that I would beat Williams in the real Sharks trivia competition, but he's lucky that I'm the host.
Anyway.
All right, we keep going.
So at the new stadium, we played 23 times. We won at our first attempt there in 2004, 30 points to 22. One of my favourite matches of all time. We were down 16-8 at halftime. That was to the Broncos. It was the Sunday Channel 9 game. We were a pretty ordinary side in 2004.
Sam Eismunger, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. He got 2 tries.
Northies.
Yeah, we were at Northies. Yeah, no, you're at Northies for that. That one went off.
I don't think Sam Osmond was man of the match. I think it was actually Andrew Lomu who was man of the match in that one. He had a
I think that's right. But Sam Eisenmungo, that was a boom rookie performance as well.
2 tries.
I've had you in the list.
6 tries. Combined kick 3.
I have a feeling Jason Stevens-Fence might have copped something on that day from Lat.
Maybe. So anyway, we started well. We had basically a drought all the way through to 2012. We didn't win there again until then. I was living up there and we won that one. That was a game where we were up 16-0 early. Wade Graham absolutely murdered Josh Hoffman in the in-goal back when shoulder charges were legal, but it got deemed illegal for high contact, and that would have made it 22-0. The Broncos came back, got it back to 16-10 or 16-12, and then our good friend Nathan Stapleton, we wish him all the best these days, got an intercept, ran 95 metres, was running towards where the Sharks fans were, whatever end we were at, watching on the big screen as someone was coming across in cover. Perfectly timed goose step as he's watching himself at the big screen, big fist in the air to seal it, with I think Colin Best scoring a late try in that one too to win. So we've had some good wins there over the years. We did win 3 in a row after that one. So we beat them in 2012, we beat them by 1 point in 2013, and then we had the famous 22-0 comeback win in 2014. We've had 7 wins in total, 16 losses. We've played a few other matches against different teams up there too, including the Titans in 2019. First Magic round, we actually opened that Magic round on the Thursday night with a win. Kyle Flanagan kicking the goals in that one, and I think Paul Gallen got a conversion late on in that one. So anyway, we've 16 losses, 7 wins, 23 games. Surely we're due. Hopefully we're due.
Well, also against the Roosters, we had the infamous motivational moment where they purchased the damn fireworks for the home semi-final match versus the Roosters, and the Roosters came out and did us in. All right, well, we've spent enough time on that. Let's get through the team list here as we throw to our man, Chris Kelly. You can take us through the Cronulla Sharks team to take on the Sydney Roosters.
Yeah, guys. Well, again, they made it easy for us. So it's only Tupahua add to the bench with ULE dropping out. At this stage, Nico Hines is named at 7, but there's obviously a question mark over his fitness. We'll see how he goes. He didn't train today. Just a bit of light sort of ball drills with, of all players, Braden Trindle has been named in the extended bench. So he may cover for Nico Hines this weekend. So we'll watch his space to see if we have Trindle and Atkinson in the halves. But pretty strong lineup, sitting top of the table, and nothing much else has changed for our guys.
All right, and then as we look ahead, we can go. Just let me do this. I'll pull up. Do you want to do that? We'll do the Roosters team now, shall we, Chris?
Yeah.
Which music do you want? Do you want the cockadoodle music?
I need my slide up there. Where's my little slide? Can we fit that in there?
Oh, well, we've got actually. What we'll do is we'll just kick out. We'll just kick everyone else out, and you can show your buddy here. All right, there we go.
Oh, it's my little nephew Cooper, the big Roosters fan. So the Roosters lineup is James Tedesco, Daniel Tupou, Sue Ali, Pauga, Young, Kiri Walker, Big Jared Awera-Hargraves, Cheeks, Brandon Smith, Lindsay Collins, Angus Crichton, Matt Butcher, Adrian Fichter, Radley, Connor Watson, the other Butcher and Egan Butcher, Spencelino, and one of the May brothers, Terrell May. The coach is Trent Robbo Robinson. So shout out to Cooper making the slide this week. He's a big Roosters fan, and I'm sure he's ready to get a bit of skip on the weekend.
Just getting rid of that absolute rubbish music. All right, what do we? Well, shout out. I can't believe we had a photo of a Roosters kid on the damn podcast.
Yeah, we had to
fix him up.
He's a big fan. He likes watching us as well. Anyway, so
the
only lineup change for the Roosters at this stage is Big Joey Manu is out of the centres this week. Obviously, copped a knock to his fragile face that Latrell rearranged a couple of seasons ago, so he's out for this week. But other than that, it's pretty much a full strength Roosters team.
Jared Maria-Hargraves. He's just always causes problems, Jared Maria-Hargraves.
Yeah, the Cheese missed last week with a calf strain, and now he's back this week as well. So they're pretty much going in full flag. Angus Crichton's hit a purple patch of form. He scored 4 tries in 2 weeks. So
what's Connor Watson up to? What's his form like?
Connor Watson was the starting hooker last week, and he's back to his best again. So they're starting to hit their straps just before Origin like they normally do, and they'll probably have a bit of a drop off the cliff and then probably come back in towards the back end of the season because they just know what they're doing at that time of the year.
Well, the Roosters had a few off years with Jake Friend and what was that other guys, Boyd Cordner, getting injury retired. And so it would have just upset the kind of salary cap payments and they had. Dom Young's not bad either, is he? Jesus.
Yeah, Dom Young's come back from a suspension and he's hit last week with 2 tries, a couple of try assists. They've still got the evergreen Daniel Tupou and Tedesco at the back. Teddy's getting ready for his origin period. Sam Walker's hit form. He's back up in Brisbane as a junior. And I'm talking a bit about a league talk next week, but they are losing a couple of players for next season in Suali, Manu, and Wera Hargraves retiring next year. Angus Crichton's contract's up in the air at the moment. So,
Wera Hargraves was going to the Sharks, Chris, for one season.
Oh, I was hoping. Look, if Fitzy gives him a phone call, I might send him a text and see what he says and say, look, you just come down the Shire, mate. You can sit by the beach and just play 20 minutes. We'll see.
All right, I know I got to go first. I'm going to tip the Sharks. Sharks win.
Go for it.
Sharks
Franco?
win. All right, Franco, what do you make of this Roosters team?
Oh, they're a powerhouse. They've been cleaning up teams the last couple of weeks. Oh gosh, how many Magic rounds have we won, Williams?
0.
1.
We won 1.
Aldo, I'm leading 2-0. You're wrong again.
Oh, that's all right.
You're wrong at the
I
weekend
just
as
assumed
well.
you were asking. I just
That's
assumed
the
you were
thing.
asking. It must have been
No,
0.
Like you
I thought, how many Magic rounds have there been?
So was there 2019, 2020 was a write-off because of COVID. 2021 happened. So 2019 we beat the Titans. 2021 we got pumped by Souths. 2022 we lost to the Raiders. That was the 8-point trial I was talking about before. 2023 we
Dolphins.
Lost. So 2020. Sorry, no. 2020.
All right, so my answer was implying that we've got a
2020
crap
we lost
record.
to Souths. 21 we lost to the Raiders. 22 we lost to the Raiders again, and then 23 Dolphins. Dolphins. There you go.
It's a big match, this one, actually, isn't it? Let's go back to the
Surely
Sharks.
would you. Lats has gone 13 plus. Go Lats.
Lats has come through with his comments saying that you booted me off before you got my tip in. All right, Lats is 13 plus.
That always
Sharks,
happens
get on
to
that
him.
bet. Yeah, he's used to getting booted out of stuff. All right, what do we make of Dan Atkinson? Look, they've named Trindle on the extended bench. If Dan Atkinson was having a shocker, then you would have assumed they would have put Trindle straight back into the team when they thought he was ready.
Did you
is
see
Dan Atkinson
today,
beaten?
though, that it's so Trindle's only included because it's a technicality because the second sample was a cocaine sample I think has not been provided. I haven't read the article, so it'll pop up just before we hit play here. So I think that's
I can delve into it if you want to. So it's more of a technicality where you provide a sample at the station and it gets sent off to a lab to be tested to see whether the actual swab of your mouth was actually positive for drugs in your system. So they're awaiting that, which sometimes has a bit of a delay. So his court case has been delayed for a few more weeks. They spoke to the NRL. They've been pretty transparent the whole way through. And because there's no court proceedings upcoming, he's free to play until those court proceedings come up. He has been attending rehab. He has been back at training for the past 2 weeks. So he's obviously covering for Nico, but he's not going to play at this stage unless Nico does pull out. But like I said, Nico was at training but wasn't running, was just sort of throwing the ball around and standing around. So he's obviously needs to audition and be fit for Origin, but there's more important things as we'll go into about Origin.
Do we need to worry about Noueli and Toby Rudolph, Franco?
Oh, I mean, we've been seeing the praises of the bench for the last few weeks now. And they topped your tiers. This bench looks a little bit different to the one that did top the tiers.
Slightly weaker.
You think weaker? Well,
Slightly.
I
Not
mean,
much, but slightly.
The final boss is on there.
Yeah, they did well last week with Hunt and Tapua against the Storm, but you're
Hunt
right.
was so impressive.
Yeah,
Good to see Hunt.
really good. I'm less concerned than I usually am against the Roosters. I know they've got a pretty strong pack, especially when you consider Hargraves, who, as you mentioned, rips us to pieces, and the new kid on the block, in inverted commas there, Lindsay Collins, who's just been purple patch for the last 2 years. He's been tearing us up as well. So it is going to be a lot of an effort for them. But if there's anywhere that they need to prove their worth, this will be that game. And I think they will. I think we've just got that little bit of extra grit, that little bit of extra fitness, because of cheat code Talakai. I think he's going to help us out. I think he's going to just prove that point of difference. But it will be a very interesting competition.
Sharks by 6. Low scoring, I reckon.
Anyone in the comments, get your tips in as well. We want to see those. If anyone not think the Sharks are going to win this. So we've so far got Williams tipping the Sharks, Franco tipping the Sharks, I'm tipping the Sharks, Lats is tipping the Sharks.
I'm going the Roosters, guys. Sorry.
The percentage.
I just think this is the one. I'm very confident taking on Penrith next week at Sharks. I'm looking ahead. It's more that question mark of Nico Hines and can we repeat that performance again? I think the difference last week in Melbourne obviously was the big controversial sin bin of Harry Grant, who sort of turned the tide and got us that try to tie it up. I think it'll be close. I think it's going to be a couple of different calls. I watched that Roosters game last week against the Warriors, and I know the Warriors, I called them to have a down season, but they were in second or third gear and put on 20 points within 15 minutes, and it was just scary. So I don't think we're the same defensive team, but I don't think what we throw at is really going to threaten. Like Franco said, if you have a look at the Roosters bench in Connor Watson, Spencer Lino's only just come back from suspension as well, so he only comes on for short stints as well. It just depends if Nico is fully fit.
Jeez, this is just adding more fire.
Fuel to the fire, yeah.
Fuel to the fire. I'm not even doing it. All right, other tips have come through. Harley's tipping the Sharks.
Always Harley.
Always Harley's tipping the Sharks. Ames is saying that it's too close to call. And SJD is just reminding us that 2002 was peak National Roosters League.
Ooh.
Yes, you are right. That is
nothing like a rule change on the eve of the finals.
Oh, William, I'm surprised you didn't talk about that.
We're
gonna do a whole episode on that, I reckon.
That's I think actually, to a Sharkcast credit, they did interview Brett Kamali about the 2002 season quite a few years ago now. But it's worth a listen to give them a shout out. That was back when Adam Newman was part of that crew. Him and Sam Shinazi interviewing Kamali. Going right the way through Kamali's welcome to Cronulla with the fans telling him to F off, bring back Preston, all that stuff, including the final.
We weren't doing that at all.
No, not at all.
Other tips have come up. Surf's Up's Combi Safari is tipping Sharks in a runaway. Yep. No, quite. Ames is just saying, are you a Sharks fan at all? Yeah, I can't believe you're not tipping the Sharks.
Look, Ames, I'm a Roosters fan just like you're a Raiders fan. We know you've got a second team. It's just, don't come at me with it.
SJD's come through and Kainer's in the bunker, so he's tipping the Roosters. Probably thinking that some of the other teams get a bit stuffed. And, yeah, CK, you've changed, according to Scott Latino. All right, let's get Chris onto the league roundup. What is happening around the rugby league world, Mr. Kelly?
Well, it's a great segue because we obviously talked about it last week, but the Roosters landed the big signature of David Fifita for the next couple of seasons. Obviously, fans around the league are questioning how they could afford that with a big sombrero, but like I mentioned, they're losing a couple of players next season. He's obviously taken a bit of a pay cut to go there, but the lure to go to Sydney was too much. It's still a strange one for me that the Roosters would pick up a second rower when they really got Angus Crichton, like I said, in the purple patch, probably pay him less, and I don't think they're really in a need. They're going to lose two centres and a front rower, so I don't know how they're getting a second rower. But obviously, Gordon Tallis was quite upset the other night, starting to rip in about how these teams can afford these kind of guys under their sombrero. The league curse of injury continued with Nathan Cleary tearing his hamstring, so he's out for about 7 to 8 weeks at the moment. We also lost Tommy Turbo, one of his famous hamstrings, went again. Although he ran into a cameraman, it wasn't the cameraman. He'd actually done his hamstring before that and actually extended it. So he's gone for a randomly 7 weeks. I don't know where they come up with that number. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck went out with a hamstring. Sean Johnson went out with a pack injury, and I don't know how Kiri didn't get cited for a chicken wing. And we also lost.
That is dodgy.
It was pretty. I was sitting with some other fans watching that game, not Roosters fans, just some other fans, obviously watching the game, and we're trying to question why a chicken wing that was so blatant wasn't pulled up, nor a penalty, nor anything after what we saw from Harry Grant the other night.
And Bossy and Brandy were blowing up about it yesterday, saying there was
not even cited, not even anything. So
that's stupid.
I know. I know Dom Young had a weird high shot that he got called for inside and only faced a fine, so I'm not too sure. Another dirty word that raised its head phrase that raised its head this week was third-party deals, with Kalen Ponga's dad coming out as his manager/father, asking where's the money. A lot of people were asking whether that was the trigger to see if he can get a release to go somewhere else, but it was more money he was owed because he had one of those, what they call a ratchet clause in his contract, whereas if the salary cap goes up or the expenditure goes up, then his percentage goes up, but he was also owed some money as a third party, which is now somehow being paid. We haven't heard anything else since then or who paid it or what he was owed, but he's gone quiet again and got his money. So bit of a strange one there. One of our own favourite, well, not my favourite at all, but Ricky Stewart's going to ink a new contract till 2029. Yes, that's right. You heard, till 2029. So in an era where coaches are sacked between 2 to 3 years and don't see out contract, Ricky Stewart's going to be there till 2029.
Sorry for you,
his friends in Fox are obviously talking him up, where Braithen asked the question why he's not under pressure, because we keep asking his fans why he's not under pressure. He hasn't won a comp since the early 2000s with the Roosters, where he lost 2002, where he was handed a team, lost 2003, lost 2004, obviously lost 2019 as well with the Raiders. They were starting to say, well, he's going to groom the new rookies, but I find that strange when he keeps dropping in and out most of those rookies in that team every single week. So I don't know how you're grooming guys when you keep dropping them out of the first grade team. So watch his space.
About how he handles rookies.
That was the first person I thought of. His speech to Albert Kelly was, someone's got to play fullback, so it might as well be him, and just handed him a jersey. So,
and then said, he's not a fullback, and I feel sorry for him. It's like, you've got fullbacks in the system. But anyway.
Lambs to the slaughter. So, racism again raised its ugly head at St. George. The St. George Illawarra Dragons match against South Sydney. You think after winning finally a match, the fans would just be enjoying that moment. But again, it was Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker were the targets of it. Luckily, though, guys, the fans of St. George actually pointed out the fan that was yelling the abuse. So I think he's been cited and he'll be investigated from here. So we'll watch this space to see what happens. And then breaking news tonight was Harry Grant fought his $1,000 fine tonight and had it downgraded to not guilty, but it was not dangerous, more careless. Somehow paying an SC to represent him and the Storm and flying to Sydney to face it just to get rid of a $1,000 fine. So I find that strange, but to our benefit, we won the game on the back of it. So good luck to you.
We didn't win the game because of that. We won it anyway.
Well, we'll see.
Anyway. SJD's come through and asked, how long is BHU out for? Do we know the answer to that?
He wasn't. It was a coach's decision. So he only played about 15 minutes the other night, and they're saying it was a coach's decision today. So I haven't seen him come up on any injury reports or anything. So I don't know if he actually occurred injury or if he's just having a bit of a rest coming on the back of his return from injury.
Could be a controlled.
SJD, you should know. You're the coach. You're the one making these calls.
Yeah, you should know more than us. You give us the scoop, SJD. All right, well, speaking of the calls, the call is about to be made on the state of origin teams and whether the Sharks are going to get flushed with origin selection problems or if we're going to be overlooked again. Chris, give us the rundown on when is state of origin, when do the teams get picked, what do you think is going to happen?
We're about 20 days or 22 days out from State of Origin 1. Again, what I went on my little rant on the debrief, we're having a game in Sydney, a game in Melbourne for God knows what reason, and then a game in Queensland. The teams will be named after Sunday's final match next week. The high tip is that Cam McGuinness will be included that team, with Coach Maguire obviously looking at Brayley as well. At this point in time, it could be Nico is probably the likely replacement for Nathan Cleary. God knows who his partner is going to be, who's going to get thrown to the absolute slaughter because Moses was not named today, so he's not back from injury yet. They're talking Matt Burton, they're talking Jerome Luai, they're talking anyone who can play number 6 or 7 for State of Origin. So at this stage, Coach Maguire is looking at Nico, Cam, possibly Brayley, and hopefully that's it. I hope he stays away from our team. I hope he doesn't touch the cheat code ever again. And I really don't care because I just want to win the premiership.
Jesse Ramian Smokey apparently.
Jesse Ramian is smoky, but I think Bradman Best is one little step in front of him. which I hope he stays. I hope he
A
stays.
whole bunch. Latrell's out of form. Turbo's out.
Jack
So,
White ruled himself out still. Latrell's ruled himself out as well. There's no Turbo. There's no Gutho's out injured as well. He's having surgery. So I think obviously Crichton, Toe will keep their spots in that team. Addo Fox is another contention. Teddy obviously keeps his spot. But it's the halves that's the problem. And luckily we haven't got any props to provide.
There's talk of Dylan Edmonds on the wing too, isn't there?
Yeah, there's strange talk about Dylan Edwards playing the wing, but he's more of a fullback, and I don't think they'd shift Teddy. Teddy has played in the wing and centres before, like we've seen Damien Cook play in the centres before. But again, as Boldo, I'm starting to lean on the fence now with Boldo. Unless Sharks players are playing it, I don't care, and I prefer they.
That's it. That's the spirit.
You look what Freddie. Yeah, you look what Freddie did to Nico Hines. You look what he did to Talakai. It cruelled our seasons. I don't really care anymore. Like it just stop the competition for 6 weeks. Yeah, it just.
Maguire's a different system. I think the Freddie factor had like the entire media around as well. Like it's classic league. The conflicts of interest, the fact that like Freddie was continuing his job at 9 whilst being the coach. So basically,
it's the same as Slater.
Around.
Yeah,
Slater as well. So they can control.
I didn't
all
mind
the stories
having a
around
coach each in the thing. I thought that's quite good.
Never mind the fact.
I like the biasness of the Origin. I want to see Paul Gallen and Andrew John.
But this is not what Williams is talking about.
We're talking about the fact that Hines got smashed in every corner of the media. Yet I don't think, for example, if Michael Maguire did that, I think it'd be a flip side. I think the media would be knives out for Maguire, going, "What are they doing playing him at centre for 8 minutes?" The fact that it involved Brad Fittler and the fact that most of them, this is pure speculation, mates with him, and they're going, "Oh, what's Hines doing? He ruined it for our mate Freddie."
No, they were critical of Cook playing centres.
That was Freddie's decision, but it was kind of funny on Sunday Footy Show. They had Freddie Fittler, Paul Gallen, and Billy Slater, and they're talking about the New South Wales halves and the current injuries. And they asked Billy, and he goes, "Well, this is kind of awkward because he's a current Queensland coach. Like he can't sit there and talk on New South Wales selections or Queensland. He's not going to reveal who he thinks his Queensland team's going to be so he can't comment on it.
No, he's not.
Just boot him out of the show like you do with me and Laps. Like just boot him out for a minute, walk on without him, and come back. Come back. Like it's just. But Williams is right. Like they didn't go after Freddie at all, and they went after not Freddie so much, but the coaching tactics, and that's when you saw the famous Greg Alexander meltdown with Brent Reed, and I think it was Brent Reed. It was him back and forth, and it was very steely after every game, and I think. You haven't seen much of Brandy since then in Fox in and around the game. So, it's a bit strange to have media protected guys. But anyway.
SJD's going off here in the comments. He
joined us. He got us the debrief. Yeah.
He said he'd rather be watching this than doing my job. Well, I hope you're not doing anything that's important. He's calling out the Bradman best as more like Bradman average.
I agree, but he covers Ramian.
And then he's also saying if Edwards doesn't play fullback, then I'm not even watching that shit. Maybe. Fullback's on the wing, though. Is that a bit of a danger?
You don't do it.
Williams, past Sharks, Origin players, you got a rundown for us, or am I just throwing you under the bus there?
No. It's straight from Wikipedia, this one, not Rugby League Project. So thanks, Rugby League Project, but getting your representative players is a bit hard to find there. So it's a who's who of Sharks legends, I suppose, in their New South Wales team or players that have played for them. It's Steve Rogers from 1980 to 82, Gavin Miller from 83, played in 83 and 89 series. E.T. had the most games for New South Wales for a period before he was since surpassed by Brad Fittler and a few others, playing from 87 to 94, 96 and 98. Mark McGaw, famously 87 and 88, and then again 1990 to 91 with some very important tries in there. John O'Docking, 87 to 88, including playing in the States before playing in the States was cool in Origin 4 back in, I think that was 87 postseason. Got Alan Wilson, 1989, Jason Stevens, 2000 to 2001, and again in 2004, where he played about 8 minutes off the bench. Back in the days of, was it The Fat on ABC? And then following that, 110% Tony Squires, copping a fair bit of that chewed the following night from players, other people in the panel going, "What are you doing playing 12 minutes? And he threw Phil Gould under the bus, which was good to see. David Peachey, that lone game and winning try in 2000. Phil Bailey, that breakout season in 2003. Still can't throw a pass to Vungana, unfortunately. Brett Kamali, 2005 and 2007 for the Sharks. He had played for New South Wales when he was at Melbourne and I think the Northern Eagles as well prior to that, but Obviously, the intercept pass at the end of 2005 game 1 to Matt Bowen in Golden Point ruined his season.
And ours.
And ours.
See?
Yeah.
My point. It's my point.
Behind it. Well, twofold here. Digression for a second. We need players to have big game experience. That's why we've gone so poorly the last 2 years in finals. That's nothing to do with John Morris. It's nothing to do with Peter Sharp. It's nothing to do with insert coach here. Players need big game experience. Origin provides that. 2016 showed that. 2017 showed that. Paul Gallen, 2006 to 2016, obviously our most capped Origin player and captain for a long period of time. Eventually lifted the shield in 2014, so that was a highlight there. Talking to the guys offline before, I think I was so into Origin during that period because I was not picturing us winning the comp because we were that far away. So the next best thing was seeing Paul Gallen hopefully lift some silverware to give us a taste of what that would look like. Thankfully for 2016 that happened. Greg Bird famously 07-08 with a few man of match performances in there. Trent Barrett 2009-2010 in a couple of game threes, and that was again injury crisis. Barrett was well past his best, but got chosen because he was a big game player. Cade Snowden 2010 to 2011, Todd Carney in 2012, including a standout match by him in game 3 at Lang Park. That one I was there. Cooper Cronk unfortunately kicked a 40-plus metre field goal with about 40 seconds to go to seal it, but Todd Carney scored a try, was kicking them from everywhere, set up multiple assists, including I think an assist for Jared Hayne with a crossfield kick and then a sideline conversion to bring him back to 20-all with a couple of minutes to go. So he was a standout. Andrew Fafita, 2013 off the bench, and then again 2015 to 2017, including in the Chronicles episode I did with Kelly last night, talking about how his performance in Game 1 of 2017 was probably the most complete performance I saw of Fafita. He was completely unstoppable, especially in the first half. Scored a try, ran for over 200 metres, was just unbelievable. Luke Lewis, 2013-2014. Michael Ennis in 2015 in a horror loss by 50-plus points. It was a record, I think, in Game 3. He got called in SOS after we had our multiple hookers, whoever they were, first choices at the time. Robbie Farah and probably others were ruled out. James Maloney, 2016-2017. I held my breath all the way through the 2016 Origin series, but he got through. Jack Bird, famously 2016 and 2017 off the bench. Wade Graham, 2016, 2017 and 2019, including a standout performance in Game 2 of 2019, where in about 12 minutes of play had more try assists than Nathan Cleary had in about 10 Origins when he came off the bench and just carved up.
He did have that one good game, didn't
he? Pouring rain.
That's how the New South Wales team needs to win. They need to just have these boom players come in and just be good for 5 or 7 games and then move on to the next guys.
Yeah. One thing I did love for Matt Pryor was he got, I think it was one appearance in 2018. Josh Morris, playing for us at the time, got an appearance in 2019. I have to check on that one. I thought he joined us in 2020, but maybe, actually, no, he played 2019 and then left the Roosters in early 2020 when he was whinging, and I can't get that whinging out of my ear. That was, he crueled me when he did that. That's a side point. Sifa Talakai, famously in 2022, and Nico Hines for that appearance in 2023. A few Super League shout-outs. We had Danny Lee and Sean Ryan playing in the other Super League Tri-Series in addition to David Peachy and E.T. Queenslanders, he's a bit of a who's who again. We've had 9 in total. We had Paul Kahn in 1981, Dan Staines from 89 to 1990, Craig Greenhill in 1996, including...
Had the 4.
He had the first player sent off in Origin. Martin Lang from 98 to 2000, Matt Rogers from 99 to 2000, including all 9 points in Game 1, including no tries in that one of the 99 season or series. He then did his shoulder, I believe, and missed a fair bit of the 99 season. Chris McKenna was a couple of standout performances there, including one man of match performance in 1990.
We love McKenna.
2002, he had the man match.
We've got to get you on this. We're going to interview you one day, Chris McKenna, and get you on this show.
Fantastic. He also played in the 99 and 2000 series. Chris Beattie, one of my favourite Sharks of all time, 01 to 02. I think Wayne Bartram's head is still ringing from his meeting with Chris Beattie's fist. Danny Nutley in 2005 and Valentine Holmes in 2017 and 2018 when he scored about 27 tries in 3 matches. Other players during the Queensland Super League series were Matt Rogers and Chris McKenna, aforementioned Craig Greenhill as well. Paul Green played for the Queensland side in the Tri-Series there whilst playing for the Sharks in 97. And that's my Origin wrap.
Franco, give us a take on Origin whilst I try and work out how to get Lats back into the show and work out how to do the 5.
Yeah, I think. I think that we've discussed. Origin is more enjoyable if there's Sharks players in there. But as Williams alluded to, there is a little bit of holding your breath because you obviously don't want anyone injured, but they do need that big game experience. You do also want that exposure for the club, for sponsors. It is a big thing to get players in there. I don't think we're going to get as many in as everyone's worried about. I think, the Jesse Ramian talk, he's certainly going to be behind Crichton, probably Best, maybe even Staggs, unless there's something that we don't know about, which is absolutely probable. I don't think he's getting a run. I think Cameron McInnes is probably in the team somewhere, anywhere. He will be representing New South Wales this season. There's just too much talk, and that talk basically started from the day Madge got the job. So he's definitely in. Nico Hines, I think, is probably a solid question mark. I think he's going to be the one that is in there because of injuries. I think if it was a fully fit team, he's not getting that look in. I suppose the question is who does he partner in that scenario? Is a Hines Luai combination good, or is that there's too much running there?
Hines Luai. I like Hines Luai, Franco.
Hines Luai, it's a good one.
Yep.
Luai's fit. He's played a full season. And he's been there. He's got the experience. Freddie came out actually and gave the big thumbs down to a Hines Moses pairing, stating that I wouldn't pick them as a pairing. They both play on the same side of the field, and we know that all the good 5'8s play on the left side. So I don't know if that was a little shot to Nico there, but I don't think you can pick Moses anyway based on his match fitness. He's been out for 8 weeks, something. I predicted early on that Nico will play at least one full game at half in Origin this year.
Does not throw his own under the bus, and that says everything we need to know about Brad Fittler right there. So,
yep.
I guess Hines is also just under a bit of an injury cloud himself. So watch this space over the next couple of weeks, see how he goes with that calf. So as I said, it's a strong question mark there. He's probably in contention, but there's a few things more at play there, whether or not he gets in. I guess there is that argument of, and I'll probably throw this to the group, people on comments as well. Do you put any emphasis in the Origin player mentality? Is someone an Origin player? Are they built for Origin? Or can anyone make it in Origin if they're a good player? I think there is definitely that Origin player, and if we're getting into it, I hate to say it, but I think Queensland certainly seem to pick players that they think will work, not who is the flavour of the month or who is being talked about in the press. So hopefully that's something that happens with Madge. As we said, we now no longer have a coach that's in the media. He's been pretty tight-lipped so far, I'd say, except for the McInnes stuff. But I'd say McInnes is definitely an Origin player. The others, well, we'll see.
Not that I care much, but Queensland get it. Like, it's true that, like, you see the passion that Joey has, the fact that Joey didn't talk to his brother and it wasn't a stunt over a discussion about it or an argument about it. They do get it, and their media gets it. And I think it's more a byproduct of the wider Sydney, New South Wales media, that the way that they cover the game, yes, there's a lot of silliness that happens in the NRL. I was blowing up a huge amount about the disruptor decision on our group chat on Saturday night. I agree with Gus that the game is silly in that regard. It's stupid. But the way that the Sydney, and I'm going to say specific media, look at Daily Telegraph, if you look at Channel 9, the way they continue to bring and pull the game down. I've been listening to the Super League podcast on the Rugby League Digest, and it's just endemic. You look at their AFL media as a parallel universe, and you look at Jared Waitley and others. They boost their game up at every opportunity. Every indiscretion gets pushed aside. No worries. Move that guy. Wayne Carey, nothing to see here. Move along. Our game is the greatest. New South Wales media just bring it down, and that's just an extension of how they handle the New South Wales team. You could pick a team of immortals, and not that Paul gets it, but NRL 360 would tear it apart. You could have the best spine of all time. They will tear it apart.
I think there's a psyche. There's a psyche thing here, Williams.
There is a psyche.
Queensland people grow up wanting to play for Queensland.
Oh, true.
And be number 6 and Wally Lewis or Cameron Munster or Jonathan Thurston. People who grow up in the Shire don't want to play for the Blues. They want to play for the Sharks.
Correct.
And so that's
exactly what it is. They grow up the ultimate for Queensland players at a play for Origin, play for Queensland. If a guy asks you to come and play, like you asked Ronaldo, he tried everything to come and play because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to go and play for Queensland. That was his dream, and it got shattered. And it took him, again, another one of our players that got torn down due to Origin selections. So that's, like you said, our guys see it as an achievement in New South Wales. And you ask Lats and I, we've been watching Origin. We love it. We fucking bleed for black, white, and blue, but we bleed for the Blues as well. We love going to Origin games. Sorry, swear alert. We've been to a couple of Origin games, and that's because I get so fired about losing to Queensland. But I started to listen to the psyche more and more of Queensland get it, and that's because that's their bar. That's where Queenslanders set their bar. Is like Botter just said. You want to be Wally Lewis. You want to be Cam Munster. You want to be Jonathan Thurston. New South Wales, it's an achievement, but Queensland, that's the ultimate.
I'd rather be Adam Dykes or
correct.
I'd rather be Adam Dykes or Peachy.
That's what's different for us. Yeah, that's what's different for us to Queensland.
Lads, give us the round out the Origin chat for us, lads. We spent enough time on this rubbish.
Yeah, mate. I don't think Ramian will get picked unless there's an injury to Bradman Best. He's been performing. He's been performing currently for the Knights, and he did a good job when he was there last year. I do think we'll see the final boss get a little stint off the bench at some point over the 3 games. I'm sorry to say, Chris, I know that hurts your feelings, but yeah, and I think we'll see Nico in the halves at some point too. I think he'll at least get a game there. So it's exciting. I'm happy for the players, but I just don't want it to derail anything because we're flying high at the moment.
But that's the problem. You look at Talakai. Sorry, one last bit. You look at Talakai and you look at even Phil Bailey was mentioned because he was the bolter, and so was I think.
Phil Bailey.
Phil Bailey was the bolter because they have to pick a bolter. Like they have to satisfy the media for a guy to talk about that's come out of nowhere and play for New South Wales. And Talakai was that guy, and he was the sacrificial lamb. And it happened to Phil Bailey as well. Like let's pick someone out of the blue and shock everyone because they picked the wrong teams. Like pick the right team. Pick the team that's going to win the game, not the bolting that's going to scare everyone. Like.
Pick players in position.
They won't.
Just pick the team.
Too much loyalty.
Pick a team that's going to win. Just pick a team that's going to win. It's not that hard. All right. Mike Knights come through with Bumblebee Tuna. What did I miss? I'm not sure what Bumblebee Tuna is.
It's his dinner.
It's his dinner.
All right, fair enough. Mike, if you did miss it all, you can go back and watch the earlier segments of the show. And also at the end, we do a stuff we might have missed or just stuff we talked about. Goodness, we're just talking on for so long at the end now. Surfs Up, Combi Safari says why not play Origin at the end of the year?
Correct.
SJD's called it out. He says that, it's the best episode yet. Sorry, asterisk, third best. And then Mike said, yeah, he's excited to see who gets picked. All right, let's move on to the last segment here. A little bit more of fun where the guys get to be a bit of stick. Yeah, I didn't tip the Sharks last week. I copped it. So I thought I would throw it out there of times where you didn't tip the Sharks when you knew that you should have. There's one time I remember our friend of the show, Dane Wheeler, was watching the Sharks versus the Warriors in Auckland, and everyone was, I think it was at the League Club, was watching, and everyone said, no chance the Sharks are going to win. So everyone tipped the Warriors except for Wheeler, and then the Sharks came through and won, and he had a particularly good time doing that. So just asking the fellas, do you remember a time where you didn't tip the Sharks and you should have and you knew that you blew it?
So many times.
Never.
It was 2004. We'd been pumped by, I think, South and the Greg Bird knee Shane Martini incident, followed by the Cowboys at home, Nigel Vunga's debut, and then we're playing the Raiders at home. And I thought, oh, gosh, there's no way we'll win that one. And we end up putting 38, 40 points or whatever in one. So I've tipped it against us so many times. There's more so, I don't bet much, if at all, these days. But when we went to Canberra in 2016, I had to cover my losses. I picked you up, David. I picked you up from your place. We drove to Sydenham Station to be picked up by Brett and Lara and then drive down. We had the backpackers booked. I had a lot of mates in Canberra. Everyone contacted me going, do you want to stay? I'm like, nah, this is going to end in tears. I'm probably not even going to make it to half time. We need to get out of here. And I put a massive bet on Sportsbet to offset the loss on the Raiders. On the nose, that was it. I think they're paying $1.75 or something. I was like, that's massive overs, because clearly they're certainties. And Sportsbet had a little shout out to them, little side thing that if your team led at halftime and lost, you get your money back. So not only did I...
Geez, that was the best outcome for you then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so got a title, how many $100 back that I thought was going to create me more. And it's the only time, I feel ashamed saying it, that I've attempted to profit out of a Sharks loss. I refuse to. I'll tip against them every day of the week, but I'll refuse to profit out of their loss. But that one...
I can't see Chris Kelly betting against the Sharks.
Ease the pain, and thankfully, by a quirk in the system, an asterisk, shall we say, I got the money back. So...
Have you bet against the Sharks, Chris, and lost?
Only recently when we played Canberra at home and Canberra up 18-0, and I was counting my money because I was on the same promo, up 6 at halftime, and you win. And I was like, all right, this is great. We're up 18-0. We'll do the comeback at 18-12. And like, well, we're still up 6. I'll still win, and the Sharks can come back. And of course, we scored and made it 18 all at halftime, and I just couldn't believe it. So I know you guys have both tipped against them in 2016. I had to talk both of you guys, you, Williams, and Boldo, off the cliff on the eve of driving down to Canberra. You guys were like, we're gone, we're shot. And I was the confident guy. I was the guy. I had to talk you guys off the cliff.
I distinctly remember it was while I was driving through Waterloo on the way to Sydney. I distinctly was in traffic. And I remember you talking, he's going, no, I'll be okay. And we're like, Gallen's out as of this morning with his back. And then...
Big confidence. The only other one I tipped last season, obviously we were in a bit of a slump, and I tipped against us Souths in Perth, which cost me a perfect round. Luckily, I won one tipping comp of the family one, so that was quite a nice payday, but I think it cost me a little bit of money out of the final standings in the work one. So I do distinctly remember the last year. We're in a slump. We're in Perth. We're playing Latrell and the Rabbits over there, so I was just like, there's no way. And then watched the perfect round go down the tube. So, yeah, a couple of times here and there. But I always say I prefer the win over a right tip anyway. So I'm sure Boldo's feeling the same. But I've had this discussion. I've had this discussion as well. I'm sure the panel will agree. I think he called Tommy was only going to have about 2 or 3 tries. And he also said we'd be bottom of the top 8. So I'm sure we'll go back and find the tape. The rest of us said minor premiers, if not top 2 or top 4. So we'll go back and see how this goes at the end of the season.
I only care about winning a finals match, Chris. Just win me a finals match.
Better
what I do notice is if the Sharks have a good season in the NRL, typically if you're in a tipping comp that's not with Sharks fans, you win. Because everyone else never tips the Sharks. So basically the Sharks have a good season, you just win. I won 1999. I won like a bunch of tipping comps that year. Now, Franco's claiming he never tips against the Sharks. I'm not sure that's entirely true because we know that you have not got 8 out of correct this season, Stephen.
I never regret tipping against the Sharks because it means that if we lose, I got the tip, and if we win, I don't care. I don't care about the tip, so I never regret it. And because I've never put money on a game, so it's just tipping. It's fine. I'm happy. All good.
Mine was the 2016 Canberra game. Mine was the 2016 Canberra game. That was one of mine. But the other one that I tipped against us, and I don't know why, because we pumped the Broncos the week before 22-0, I think it was that Roosters game, and we were down 24-0, and I was cheering. I thought, I've got this tip. This is we've come back, clean them up, and oh shit.
I was only mentioning last week that I usually leave Lats to do the Shark sort of bets for us because I don't like sort of putting on the mock on all these sort of guys. And even last week, the week before when we were playing the Dragons, I was getting a bit of curry because I had Ravalawa in my multi. But as Williams know, there was a couple of last season I had money on Aloia to score first for Manly Seagulls and got me about $500. And I stood up and cheered and everyone looked at me weird, but it was money. So, it is what it is. Money's a little bit different. Heart's a little bit different. So, gamble responsibly.
Airline's a little bit different too.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that was the ET stand. Thanks for staying with us. It's longer episodes of this show when the Sharks are winning, isn't it?
Actually, before you go, Boldo, I've heard a couple of little whispers around in the socials today and different sources that there is news that AFB wants out early. So,
if that happens,
watch this space.
Category 2 for you, Lats, where you called it, and it is going to happen eventually. But if I was AFB, I'd want to get over to the Sharks and play for us early before. What is it, June 30? Is that the cutoff?
Yep. June 30.
How does
Jeez,
that work?
would be.
cap-wise?
Jeez.
Maybe that's why
Well-
we haven't seen you early this week.
No, just
He's calling it. He's calling it early.
classic.
Just
Classic.
Sharks
Category
fans, listen
two.
to that. Lap just said you early. AFB.
No,
Listen.
we have them both there. We'll have them both there.
I'll tell you what, AFB into the team would certainly make the bench better.
The next lot of tears again, that's for sure.
I don't know how it's just implying that he would be on the bench. All right, that was. Have we missed anything that we want to talk about? Sorry to. We said, as I said to you, Mike Knight. If you missed it all, you haven't missed it all because you can go back and listen on Spotify or YouTube to the show, not live. Anything we missed, fellas, that we want to add in before we jet?
Yeah, I've got a little something.
No?
For the people that on Spotify, apologies because there's a bit of an intro that plays that gets cut out for the Spotify listeners. There's a bit talking about where we're talking about expansion teams and the PNG team maybe merging with Norths. Volandis has come out and started talking about expansion teams again. He's talking about adding 2 teams. Again, unfortunately, in my opinion, PNG being one of them, and the other one being Perth. Now, in this scenario, the Norths are selling them out to whoever will have them. So Norths are talking about hooking up with Perth to get back into the competition. So the Perth Bears is the want. Perth not too happy about merging with the Bears. They sort of want to be on their own, but it looks like the NRL's trying to get a foundation club back in. And the reason
That's a
why
good
I bring it
idea,
up,
Franco. It's a good idea. This is harking back to.
Okay.
Yep.
Hold that.
It's a
Hold
good
your
idea.
fire.
Oh, goodness.
Keep your powder
Okay.
dry. Keep your powder dry.
No, this is such a good idea.
The reason I bring it up here, and as is relevant to the Sharks, is the other option is it's the Perth merging with the Newtown Jets, who is obviously the team that we have an affiliation with for New South Wales Cup. So that's an interesting little bit of percolating going on in
you
the
can have the
background.
Perth Jets, and you're always jetting over there for the match. That'd be quite good.
Yep. So that's an option, but yeah, there you go.
Well, for those, everyone wouldn't know. So prior to us launching the ET Stand podcast, we did a few practice episodes, and the most heated segment we ever had was where should the NRL expand to? And so, yeah, in the warm-up clip, you've got Chris talking about PNG, and then Franco tearing him an absolute new one, and then me coming in saying that North Sydney Bears should never have been kicked out. So that is really interesting. I think the North Sydney Bears should be in it. They're a brand that exists. There are a bunch of colours that exist. There's a fan base that's still there. There's a bunch of history that we can tap into. And it's difficult to build.
Have we lost him?
We've lost him. We've lost our.
Perfect.
Because we're talking
Great
about.
time.
We're
Oh, he's
talking
back.
about- Yes,
He's back.
cut him.
As
It's
David was
difficult
saying, North Sydney
Yeah.
is. I
Difficult
love
to-
the Bears. I have some mates who are big Bears fans, and I feel for them that had lost their club. I think if I lost my club, I wouldn't watch another rugby league game. But
I would not watch
yeah,
a rugby league ever again either.
Epping
That was the
is
gods
crying
telling
out
you
for a
you're not
rugby
getting the
league
Bears
team.
back.
Oh, well, I do
Japan.
live near the North Sydney Bears, so that would also be quite good. So, all right, so that was that one.
A comment by SJD. I'm just going to take over. We're talking about was it Cooper Cronk's wording?
Oh, yeah, this one. We've been holding on to this one, yeah.
From Fins Up, Dan Nichols, a great friend of the show, known him for years, and yes, he is a big fan of saying this is a bloke. So yes, that's drinking game on death level. G'day, Dan. Hope you call in soon. He was our first ever caller actually after the Bulldogs trial win. So big fans.
It's
of,
like if you ask Boldo, the guy in the NFL, said, "Now here's a guy," and he says it all the time. Like, here's a guy.
Yeah, he does say that.
Yeah. Speaking
And
of what,
Surf's Up Combi's just called out that he hates the AFL.
I do have a long list of times where our reserve grade teams have led their competition too. If you've got a spare half an hour,
Oh,
guys.
goodness. Time for that. Scott Buckley's come through and said Sharks by 2. Anyone who want to get their tips in quickly can do that. But yes, so upcoming on. Let's look. We'll start wrapping it up. I think we're going to wrap up the show with this music. So Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of the ET Stand. And thank you, everyone, for your support on the channel over the last few weeks. We've had players out, players injured. We've had, it's rare for us to have all 5 of us on the show at the same time. So that was particularly good fun for us. So we are having an absolute ball doing this stuff for you. If you have any suggestions or feedback or want to come on and be a guest on the debrief with Franco at any point, please do also let us know. We've just published this week's Classic Cronulla Chronicles, which was the Sharks versus Roosters 2017 matchup at Gosford, which is a lot of fun to go back and kind of listen to. And then other than that, we have the debrief, which will be not straight after full time this week. It will be just slightly after the third match. So we'll do it after that one. Hopefully we'll see another Sharks victory in there. And I think that's everything we've got. Mike Knight's just come through with one last comment. Yep, we love the Sharkies too. Shout out to everyone that is supporting and watching us. Do hit the like and subscribe button. For those watching later, do get involved in the comments. And we will see you guys following, hopefully, another Sharks victory over the lackluster, boring Sydney Roosters. We will see you guys next time on the ET Stand. Up, Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.